Hi, everyone. This is Anne from Read It Again Bookstore, and I am thrilled today to be talking to Mary Alice Monroe. She has a book that was just released called Ocean Boulevard. Let me see if I can bring it up here. There you go. Um, and so I am thrilled to have you with us, Mary Alice. So welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. A fellow turtle lover, of course.
Absolutely. I was like, here's my turtle over here and my seashell.
My
Um,
kind of girl.
Absolutely. So before we get started, I just want to make a comment that if you have questions for Mary Alice, please go ahead and post them. Kim is my backstage person who's going to be posting them. So Mary Alice, if you see them, want to make a comment of them,
Over here. Okay.
so yes. Interrupt me if we're talking about something, if you want to make a comment, if you see a post or something like that.
All right. I love that.
So
Spontaneity.
yes, and absolutely. So before we get going with your book, one thing that struck me is the title. It didn't have anything to saying to the beach or beach house or beach reunion. So at first I thought it was a standalone, which I was thrilled about. But then I find out it's now another book of your series, which is my all-time favorite series.
Oh, thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you.
So, why did you choose the title?
You know, you run out of nice titles with the word beach in it, first of all. And the other thing that's, I don't know if a lot of people have seen, but I'm sort of vaguely annoyed with how many authors have come out with the beach house title.
That is true.
I mean, I wrote mine 20 years ago, and I can think of three right off the top of my head, one just this summer. And it's like, come on, guys. you know, so everyone knows there's no copyright on titles. And I could write Gone with the Wind tomorrow, but I try not to. You try not to step on another author's title. And I know it happens out there, but to have so many, especially if there are Southern books, and it's like, can't you call it the house on the beach? It's just that there is a beach house, so I try to avoid it. But also, the name On Ocean Boulevard is actually important because it the action takes place on Ocean Boulevard, and the house that's being built is on Ocean Boulevard. So it's an important part of the novel. It's almost a character in the novel.
Yeah, and I didn't really pick up on it until I started really getting into it. I mean, your first couple of chapters, I was like, okay, reminiscing with everybody, getting everybody back, and that
Yes.
sort of thing. And then I finally got it, and it wasn't until the end that I was like, perfect title.
Good.
If
Thank
you
you.
would, let's talk to everyone about what the book is about. Um, and I don't know if you do spoilers or not, but
I'll try not to. I know people are reading it, but there's probably a lot who haven't. One of the things, and here's the cover too. I love the cover. Let me get it away from the graphic.
yeah.
What I love about it actually is I found the picture, so I'm very proud. And it's the boulevard, and I said you've got to have a car. So I love the girl with her two arms up, and that's how I feel every time anyone who's come over to the Isle of Palms. You're coming from Charleston, Mount Pleasant, you get over the connector, over the marsh to get to the island. And you get to the very top and you see that sliver of blue under the sky. And you're like, yay, I made it to the water. It's a great moment. It's euphoria. So I wanted my readers to have that sense of euphoria, not only in the book, but right on the cover. So I love the cover. And it's a standalone. And every one of my Beach House series, and this is number 6, stands alone. So if anyone in the viewing audience has never read any of the series, that's okay. This stands alone. You can pick it up. And if you just read this, it's the story of two women. One is a 56-year-old woman, Cara Rutledge. She's from they're related, the two women. And the Rutledges are an old historic family in Charleston, the royalty of Charleston. And that still exists. The behind the veil, there's a world that we're not invited to. And they have homes on Olive Palm Sullivan's Island. Cara's 56. She's gone through a lot. She's lost her first husband. She didn't think she'd find love again. And she opens up, she's getting married. And at 56, her husband to be wants this big wedding. And she's like, the wedding, the veil. Do I do this at 56? And all her friends are saying, yeah, you deserve it. You deserve to have the big wedding, but she's uncomfortable. So there's the wedding angst. She's having a plantation wedding in Charleston, and she's just uncomfortable with it. She has an adopted daughter, and David is her fiance, who's very good. He's working hard to develop a relationship with her. And so there's that. I don't want to get, I almost told something.
I know.
And then Linnea. And Linnea's the young girl in the cover, and she's 23, and she is returning home, opening chapter. She's coming back from California, where she had run with a blaze of independence from her parents. Again, her parents like her to stay in the South. They don't want her to go away. But she went 2 years earlier with her boyfriend, who Daddy didn't like very much. The job fell apart. She broke up with her boyfriend. She's out of a job. Where do you go? You go to Mom and Dad. So she comes home. And Linnea is Cara's niece. So you have this family, the Rutledge family, on the islands as a wedding's coming, and Linnea's coming home and living with her mom and dad. And I write about families. So you have a lot of family dynamics. You have the daughter chafing under the roof of her parents. You have a horrible illness that comes in, devastating, that disrupts all the plans, causes a lot of friction between everybody. And then you have her brother, who is an important character, who's building a house on Ocean Boulevard. This is for business. It's his last hope. And he's a recovering alcoholic. And as a recovering alcoholic, he's still battling with it. And Flo is fighting Alzheimer's. She's getting older. She's in her 80s, and they all feel a sense of responsibility for her. So you have a very strong extended family, ups and downs. But what I love about them is that no matter what I throw at them, and I try to keep the issues timely and realistic, it's their commitment to each other. They have each other's back. They get mad at each other and they fight, but when the chips are down, they're with each other. And I didn't realize it when I wrote the book a year ago, how timely it would be for this summer. Mm-hmm. Because we are experiencing devastating illnesses. We're this out of nowhere that's disrupting our plans. We have children coming home to live with us because they don't have a job or they're temporarily out of work. And I just really feel that the sense of family struggles, it's not about illness, it's about the family. And on top of all that, you go to the beach.
Of course.
That's the kicker. It's an escape.
It's a happy place.
It's a very happy place. I mean, you're going to be a turtle lady. I know you're going to ask me about that, but I will say that if you have read the Beach House series, then you've watched Cara from the Beach House and you've got the copy back there. Yes, the original copy, Little Mass Market.
There you go.
That's the original. I call it the little book that could.
Oh,
you have to ask me about that. But Cara. I wrote that book in 2000. It was published in 2002. So we've watched her go from 40 years old to 56. We've watched Linnea go from 8 to 23. All the characters have aged in the course of the series. And even though each book was written independently, every couple of years I added a book, and you just watch them grow up. And we're all very excited about Cara's wedding in this book.
Yeah, I was also very thrilled that you, in quite a few chapters, brought in Flo, because with Flo and Lovey together, I mean, there was such a strong friendship in there. And I don't want to give it away, but I'm so glad to an extent that she was okay. And there was one part where she called out a sickness for someone that I was like, go Flo.
She's this tough old bird.
Absolutely.
And when we knew her in the beginning, she's on the turtle team and she's strong and she's fiery, but she's in her 80s now and she's slipping. And I think interesting to see her change, but she's still in there, is still that character.
She still got it. And that was one part that I was like, okay, she's going to be okay for a while. If there is one life lesson from your entire book, what do you think it would be?
I think it's the theme of the book, of all the books, which is connect with nature. Mm-hmm. That is the theme of everything I write. But in this book in particular, it's the cycle. I've always been really struck with how the sea turtles, and the backdrop is the sea turtles. Everyone who reads the book, the extra bonus is you're going to be on the turtle team with me. And I'm 20 years a turtle lady and still on the team. And the turtles come ashore cyclically, lay the nest. There's risks involved. The mother goes away. Some people think it's abandonment in human terms, but it's her biological model. So the eggs are laid, they hatch, the hatchlings come out, they go into the sea, the season's over, and it begins again. And that's our lives. Mm-hmm. We come ashore, we're productive, we leave, and the next generation comes. And I think throughout the entire series, I wanted to show the beauty in that. Mm-hmm. From Cara and Lovey, her mother in book 1, The Beach House. And Lovey, how the memory, no one really dies. They're with you in your memories, mm-hmm. and in your spirit. I think that's and that connection is so powerful.
Well, I absolutely love that you took Linnea and the resemblance to Lovey.
Thank you.
Cara thinks it's her mom. Turns around, or Linnea gets out of the shower and she thinks her mom's there, and it's not. It's Linnea, and that to me was fabulous. I'm
so glad you liked that, because I had fun writing that.
Oh, and you can't forget Lovey. She's the start of all of this.
Yes.
So I like the fact that you pop her in a little bit.
Every book, her memory. And I think what was fun throughout the series is she a ghost or is she not? Is the ghost? And that's definitely in.
She's there.
It's a book in Charleston. You have to have a ghost. You have to have a ghost. And what I loved for this one, though, is Linnea is the next generation.
Right.
And when I started the first book, The Beach House, I always said Linnea was very much like her grandmother. And so as she grew up, she actually is one of those children who resemble their grandmother. And she loves her clothing. Yeah. And in the last couple of books, she loves vintage clothing. It's part of who she is. And so when you see this tintype of her grandmother in her grandmother's clothing, because she got the treasure trove of clothes, it's startling for those who knew Lovey, but it reminds the reader, Lovey's here. We are here with our children. We are here with our grandchildren. The continuity continues. I find that very comforting as well as inspiring.
Oh,
I'm so glad you liked that.
Oh, I very much so. So the book, and I don't want to give too much away, but the book, yes, it's about the sea turtles and the laying of eggs and that sort of thing. But I love the way that you brought in Gordon with the book. And all about the plastic.
You're getting all the good points. You really paid attention.
That it's creating on the ocean, because, and as you said, we will get into this, but on my bucket list, I have never seen turtles hatched before. I've seen them lay their eggs. I have never seen them hatched.
Wow.
So bucket list.
We'll have to help you make that happen.
I would love to. But talk to us a little bit about, what do we do? Because there are so many things as plastics, and even you say balloons that people think about, that they're just kind of tossing, and the struggles that it's causing with all those turtles.
Well, one of the things I created, I wanted to hit the topic of plastics, but it's not touchy-feely. It's not like a dolphin or a sea turtle that you can make a connection with. It's not touchy-feely. So I knew I'd have to find a way to bring it in. And it's through Linnea, and it's through the process of imitation, how, people see her. She saw one person pick up trash, put it in a bag, walking the beach. She thought, that's kind of cool. I think I want to do that. So she started picking up a piece of trash and someone saw her. And it's that ripple effect. And it also has more impact in the plot of the story, which I'll let you read out there. But it shows that one person can make a difference. And I know when I'm out talking to groups, and my books are always set against a species or an animal that I'm working with. That's sort of my reader promise, that I'll bring you into a world that I participate in, whether it's dolphins or monarch butterflies, whatever species I'm with. And in this one, it's sea turtles. I want you to be in that story world, to feel like you are inspired, but I don't want to ever point my finger and tell you what to do. Mm-hmm. It's a novel. You're here to be entertained. You're here to learn about the relationships and care about the people. But the bonus is you will learn about the species that I introduce. And in this, as I said, turtles. So when I'm talking to my groups, when I'm out on the road, and sorry, I'm not meeting you all in person today. I do love that. I hear from so many people. It's so big, climate change. They kind of freeze or they tune out, and it's too much. What can I do? Is the question that I get all the time. And so what I'm saying to everybody is, please don't pull back. We've never needed you more. But I tell you what my daddy told me. When I was young, and I'm one of 10 children, and I wanted to save something, and he said, Mary Alice, don't worry about what's going on over in China. And he sort of had that tone, like, now, little girl. But he said, Mary Alice, don't worry about the whole world. Just light one candle. And at the time, I don't think I really understood the gravity of what he was saying. But he was saying, think globally, act locally. What are you doing, just you, in your life? So I started a group called Light One Candle. And it's on my Facebook page. And it's a group, Light One Candle, with the numeral 1. And in that group, I invite everyone to attend. We have a ball. We just tell people, any species that I'm writing about in my books, I will vet the articles to make sure they're accurate and they're put up there. Anything important. It's not political, because this is not politics. This is the planet that we all share. And sometimes I say, what non-plastic straws are you looking at? Or, hey, I found this really great a beeswax cover that you don't need saran wrap with. And it's kind of fun. And the idea is everybody in that group just wants to help in their own life, light one candle. Because if we all do one candle, that's called illumination. We will make a difference as a group. And each book that I write is lighting one candle. It's sending it out there saying, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it's inspiring. And that's the best that I can do.
And you so inspire. It very much educated me on the plastics.
Thank you.
You don't think about that. And as you said, one candle, that's all it takes. So
just picking up one piece.
You're right. Just one. So tell us about this turtle team that I am so envious about. I mean, how did you get started with it? From being on it, obviously it helped with the writing of your series.
Oh, yes.
Tell us a little bit about what you do.
All teams along the southeastern coast, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, have the team is made up of people who walk the beaches in the morning, and they're looking for turtle tracks. And then there's permitted people. In South Carolina, it's the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. In Florida, I think it's U.S. Fish and Wildlife, but they issue permits so that we can monitor the nest, but also move the nests if we have to. So our job is to try to increase the success rate of every nest That's our duty. And we know that 1 in 1,000 makes it, but it used to be 1 in every 10,000 makes it, a turtle makes it to adulthood. So we've gotten that number down, and we look at every aspect of the sea turtle season. We count hatched and unhatched eggs in inventories. And that's when we sometimes find we call them babies. Scientists hate it when we call them the babies, but that's what they are to us. They're little babies. These little 3-inch hatchlings. And so we take them and we release them to the wild. We also do strandings if a turtle is injured by a propeller or just sick or shark bite or something, and bring them to the South Carolina Aquarium Sea Turtle Hospital. So we're an active bunch. And its season started, and the mothers come, and they start usually May 15th, and they go through September, early October. And the mothers leave early July, and that's when the hatchlings start. So it's sort of the mothers come, lay the eggs. It takes 45 to 65 days for the eggs to mature, hatch. Once they hatch, they go to the sea, and the mothers are already gone, and the last nest. But what we're seeing, and why did I write about sea turtles again, is a question I'm often asked. It's because when I have something I want to say to my readers or share with my readers about turtles, about shorebirds, about the beach, I use this family and this series. So I've written about the pelicans, and I've written about the shorebirds, and now back to the turtles, because we are seeing dramatic changes. Maybe dramatic is too strong a word, but definite changes in how early the sea turtles are coming ashore. We had our first nest in Georgia, April 25th.
Wow.
And I put that in the book because that happened now. This is happening regularly. And so the birds are migrating earlier too, leaving earlier. We're seeing distinct patterns in all species of migration with climate change. The other thing we have is sand on the beach determines the sex of the turtle. So if a turtle lays an egg, all her eggs, and the sand is hot, you'll have more females. If the sand is cool, you'll have more males. So we say hot chicks, cool dudes. It's an easy way to remember. Unfortunately, climate change and the hot sand, we are discovering a higher number of females being born. And that's going to impact the species. So this is a question that I raise. No answers. I don't know the answer, but we're seeing distinct changes. So I like my readers to just be on the team with me. I invite my readers, and this is the key. I do this. I work with these animals. I am a turtle lady. So when you go out with my character, you will see the turtle come ashore. You will know how the turtle team acts. You're on the team with me. And I think that's what my readers enjoy most, is that I know this world so well. And you'll feel that sand in your toes. And you'll know Isla Palms and Sullivan's Island very well through the power of story.
Well, and I love here, and let me get to a page in the book. So each chapter, I don't know if people can see this, you start with a pearl of wisdom.
Yes,
and
you.
That is one of the ones that you did talk about, how depending on the warmth of the sand determines the sex. And I just love these little snippets of, just about the turtles, because like you said, by the end of the book, I felt like I was sitting there helping guide them, when they do their hatching and that sort of thing. And how do you even begin to choose these little pearls of wisdom to put
That's
on?
hard. I work very hard on that. I try to have you have to follow chronologically what happens with the turtles, but I try to choose words and the topic that will mirror somewhat what's going on in the story. I don't like to slow down my action with what I call information dump. I think that's sloppy writing. A lot of times, if you're reading a book and you get all this information, it's interesting, but you really want to know what's happening with Cara and David, right? So, like you're in a fight, you don't want to know if the heat determines the sex of the turtle right now. So knowing that, I like the chapter headings because it gives the reader a chance to learn when she's ready. But I keep the story, and that's craft, I think. And I do that for some books. Not all books are amenable to it, but most books I try to do that when I'm bringing in a new species. I let the reader decide how much she or he wants to read.
Yeah, I absolutely love this book. I'm going to put my readers on, so hold on here. There is a part in the book, and I have to ask you because I think it might be a foreshadowing of maybe what is coming next. Would you tell me? Um, it's when David and Cara are basically, well, I don't know how to say it without giving, but there might be another situation of On Ocean Boulevard, and he says we can sit on the front porch here, and maybe someday watch our children living across the street. And then when we get old and want to downsize, we can switch houses. Now all of a sudden, I'm okay. All right, there's one house. Now perhaps there might be two. And so I'm just, are you foreshadowing something?
I'm foreshadowing. Thank you for no. You're such a good reader, I have to tell you. Yeah, I'm doing right now. I'm writing, and normally I would wait a couple of years, and that was the plan when I finished this book. I have other books, standalones, other species I want to get to.
Okay, great.
I'm dying to get to whales. Let me just say that right off the bat.
Wonderful.
And yet, because of what happened this summer with COVID-19, I see a dramatic story unfolding in all families. And I set it up. If you think about, John, a former boyfriend in California, you have David going to England more, and Gordon's from England, and her brother is coming back. A lot of potential for some really interesting stories. So I do want to write about the next generation.
Okay.
Cara, we've seen her grow up and become the matriarch.
Right.
And what does that mean? It's a new role. It's her turn to foster the next generation, to mentor. It's a beautiful role for her. She's earned it. And she's perfect for it. But now the youngins have to get in trouble. They're the ones with the new love stories and the new angst problems. And yet there'll always be Flo and Cara. And Emmy, poor Emmy, which is Cara's best friend. Emmy needs a shot at happiness, I think.
And she deserves it. And
Don't you think? She's a good girl.
Believe she has earned her stripes, if you will.
Yes, and I love to give everyone their due, and I think Emmy's coming up for her chance.
Is there going to be another book in the series, or are you going to kind of take it off to a couple standalones?
I am writing the next book in the series right now.
Okay.
So next May, and I don't know. We're playing the titles. I'm playing, but I'm definitely going to have it come out for next year, and then I'm diving into another book already. The research I've started, and it takes me about 2 years to do the research on a topic before I can actually write a story. So I have this book coming out next summer, and my first middle grade book coming out next summer.
And I wanted to talk to you about that. Yeah, talk to us about that. I'm so excited that you're now going to come out with your first middle school book.
Well, I had wanted to do it for a long time. I have a couple picture books, Turtle Summer, and A Butterfly Called Hope, and they're photographs and they're picture books for children and to be read to. But middle grade are the kids where they really believe they can change the world. When you get into young adult, they're looking at the interior landscape, their bodies and their love affair, learning what love is. These kids want to be a judge and the president and a conservationist, and they believe they can do it all. And I love that. So I wanted to write a book for this audience, and I set it on Deweese Island, and that's a very tiny island off Isle of Palms, only accessible by boat. And there are no cars on the island. There are no stores or shops of any kind, not even a teeny little grocery store, nothing. And it's a sanctuary for birds. And these 3 kids are stuck on this island. Kids who would never have been friends. One is a army brat. His father's been injured, so he's gone to live with his grandmother on the island. And little Lovey, now little Lovey's from the Beach House series. She's um, 10 years old now, and she's the know-it-all Hermione kind of girl. She knows nature. She knows how to ride a boat, and
And she's like, Lovey.
she's like Lovey. And then we have a AJ, who's an African American boy from Atlanta, whose parents are there, and his mama's kind of there on bed rest. And so 3 kids who might not have been friends. And the worst thing is there's no internet for them. So it's the worst summer ever in their minds. No fun, what's to do? And they meet these kids. And of course, they find a friendship in being in the wild, like I was when I was young, that Huck Finn kind of life, where, you find boats and you climb trees and you learn how to, of course, there's turtles for them, but it's for the kids, and they learn that they don't need the internet by the end of the book. They are just having a ball on this wild island. And I'd like to think it'll encourage kids to turn off their internet.
And is it coming out in 2021?
21. I don't have the date, but please pay attention. I'll put it on my Facebook page. I'll put it in my website. I'm thinking spring 2021. It's done. It's done.
That's wonderful. I'm
it's called The Islanders.
Oh, okay.
The Islanders.
That's wonderful. I'm so looking
forward. I'm very excited.
That's great. So you're writing right now with your books. Do you give yourself some time to kind of relax, or do you go from book to book to book, or idea to idea?
It's never the same. My family wants me to slow down. I'm a grandmother now, so they want me to slow down. And I'm trying, but I almost feel like tempus fugit more than ever. Mm-hmm. And I have a body of work that I've worked on for 20 years, and I'm very proud of it. And it's really shows the environmental world in a backdrop to strong stories, whether they're standalones or they're Beach House series or the Low Country series. Everything's family, sisters, mothers, brother. They're the best of us and the worst of us. I think I'm going to move into a little different topic, staying nature, but I'm really interested in habitat and land and history and the role history plays in where we are today. So I might stretch my muscles in a different direction, but I'll always come back to the Beach House.
Well, that's wonderful. It really truly is one of the best series that I have ever read. As well as a book alone. You're such a wonderful writer. I feel like I'm, as I said, sitting in the sand with Cara, waiting for the hatchlings, and just a really nice story. So I thank you very much for taking the time. This book is absolutely fabulous. And you were so generous to send us book plates. So
good, you got them
at the store with the book plates. So certainly, call us, reserve a book.
And support your local independent bookseller. I mean, if you haven't read the book, you've got an autographed book plate. And can I tell you, those are designed by local artists. Those are really fancy schmancy book plates. They're really cute.
They are.
And so you've got them. And if you want to buy the book, support your local bookstore, Read It Again Bookstore. I mean, they're the ones who brought me to you. And if you can't get to the beach this summer, your vacation plans are ruined, this will take you to the beach. And I think that a sense of escape, getting to the water, losing yourself is what we need right now, more than ever. And I hope that Ocean Boulevard takes you away.
And it did. Yes. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Once we start traveling again, I will invite you to our store so that I could meet you in person.
You're like a friend. You know my book so well. I have to come. I have to give you a hug. Once we can hug again.
Absolutely. So I do speak for Kim, who owns the store, that anytime that you could fit us in, we would greatly appreciate that. And
I love it.
I look so forward also to your middle school book. That sounds
Thank you. I am. I'll post it. I'll sing it. I'll sing it from the rafters.
wonderful. Well, have a good rest of your weekend. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for taking the time to speak with us, and and thank you again. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.